There is a night every year that humanity has never ignored, long before calendars, long before churches, long before empires. A night when the sun seems to hesitate, when the days stop getting shorter, and then, barely, almost imperceptibly, begin to grow again. For most of human history, this moment was terrifying, because if the light did not return, nothing survived. Crops failed, animals died, people followed. So across continents, across languages, across gods that never met each other, humans did the same thing. They watched the sky, they counted the days, and when the darkness reached its deepest point, they told stories powerful enough to convince themselves the universe had not abandoned them. December is not just a month. It is a ritual scar carved into human memory. What we now call Christmas sits on top of something far older. Not one tradition, not one religion, but a convergence. A stacking of myths, Saturnalia, Sol Invictus, Yule, Hanukkah, Dongzhi, Bodhi Day, and eventually the birth of Christ. Different names, different gods, same night. This is not a story about stealing holidays. It is a story about sacred time, about how humans everywhere responded to the same cosmic threat, and how power learned to claim that response. Because when the sun appears to die, someone always shows up to say, "I can bring it back." In ancient Rome, December was not quiet. It was chaos by design. Saturnalia turned the world upside down. Masters served slaves. Rules dissolved. Drinking, gambling, feasting, all encouraged. This wasn't rebellion. It was ritual. Saturn ruled this time, an old god of a lost golden age, when food grew without labor, and the world had not yet hardened into hierarchy. Saturnalia was nostalgia, but it was also pressure relief. Rome understood something crucial. When darkness presses in, order becomes brittle, and brittle systems break violently. Better to schedule the madness, then let it explode. Then came Sol Invictus, the unconquered sun, December 25th, a god whose message was simple. The sun cannot be defeated. At the darkest moment of the year, Rome declared that light was eternal, and so was the empire aligned with it. This was not subtle. It was cosmic propaganda. Rome didn't just conquer land, it conquered meaning. By placing the rebirth of the sun at the center of time, the empire tied its power to the universe itself. And when Christianity spread through Roman territory, it inherited more than roads and laws. It inherited the calendar. Move north, into forests where winter was not symbolic. It was lethal. In Germanic and Norse lands, Yule marked survival. Bonfires burned not for beauty but for hope. Evergreens were dragged indoors because they did something miraculous. They stayed alive. Trees that refused to die became proof that life could defy darkness. But Yule was not gentle. The wild hunt rode the winter sky, a storm of spirits and dead warriors, led by Odin, one-eyed, wandering, terrifying. Winter gods were not comforting. They were respected because they were dangerous. Yet even here, gifts were given. Feasts were shared. Stories were told close to the fire, because when the world shrinks, community becomes sacred. When Christianity arrived, it did not erase Yule, it absorbed it. The tree remained. The fire remained. The feast remained. Only the mask changed. A child replaced the sky god. A stable replaced the forest. But the promise stayed the same. The light survives. Now move east. Different language. Different theology. Same darkness. Hanukkah is not a sun festival. It is a survival story, a people under pressure, a culture nearly erased, a sacred space reclaimed, and a flame that should have failed, but didn't. Oil meant for one day burned for 8. Not because winter demanded it, but because history did. Hanukkah is about endurance, about identity surviving occupation, about light that persists when logic says it shouldn't. Still, the symbol is familiar. Candles against the night. In China, Dongzhi marks balance. The moment when yin reaches its peak, and yang begins its return. Families gather, food is shared. The cosmos is acknowledged as cyclical. Darkness is not evil. It is necessary, but it cannot rule forever. In Buddhism, Bodhi Day remembers enlightenment, not a god descending, but awareness rising. Light not as rescue, but as realization. Different stories, same intuition. Something turns, something returns. Across the world, the pattern repeats. Candles, fires, feasts, sacred meals, stories of return. Because humans everywhere noticed the same thing. The darkness comes first. Light is never guaranteed. It must be awaited. sometimes begged for, sometimes fought for. This is why divine children appear in winter myths. Fragile beings born when the world is weakest. Small lights in vast darkness. They do not arrive in triumph. They arrive vulnerable. The Christ child in a stable. The infant son reborn. The hidden flame in the temple. The message is always the same. Power does not announce itself. It survives quietly. Winter does not produce conquerors. It produces keepers of the flame. And whoever controls the story of that flame controls the meaning of survival itself. This is where sacred time becomes contested. Because December is not neutral. It is the most emotionally charged moment in the calendar. A time when fear, hope, memory, and longing converge. Empires understand this. Religions understand this. Institutions understand this. If you can place your God, your story, your meaning, at the moment the light returns, you do not just win converts. You inherit relief. Christianity did not invent the longing of December. It answered it. The Nativity did not replace the solstice. It clothed it. Light entered the world. Not in power, not in force, but in weakness. That story worked because it was already waiting to be told. December did not belong to any one faith. It belonged to the human nervous system, to bodies bracing against the cold, to minds fearing annihilation. Religion did not create the fear. It organized it. This is why the argument never ends. Is Christmas pagan? Is it Christian? Is it stolen? Is it pure? These questions miss the point. Sacred time does not belong to anyone. It accumulates, layer after layer, God after God, empire after empire. December is a palimpsest. Old stories scratched out, then written over, but never fully erased. You can still see Saturn beneath the manger, Odin beneath Santa, the sun beneath the child, the candle beneath the doctrine. We argue about ownership, because ownership feels like control, but the night does not care who names it. The solstice comes, whether you pray or not. The light returns, whether you understand it or not. Myth is not about accuracy. It is about survival. So what is Christmas really? It is not a theft. It is not a lie. It is not a conspiracy. It is a mask worn by an ancient ritual. A ritual that says, the darkness is real, but it is not final. That something fragile can outlast something vast. That the universe bends, slightly, toward return. Every candle lit in December, no matter the name, is an act of defiance, a refusal to believe that the night gets the last word. Different gods tell the story differently. Different cultures give it different faces, but the skeleton remains. When the world is at its coldest, humans gather. They share food. They tell stories. They protect a small light and dare to believe it will be enough. That is the oldest religion in the world. And every December, we practice it again.